Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another class of public administration where we discuss one previous year question. The question is from Administrative Law and Administrative Reform, Paper 1, Section B, Unit 6. Paper 1, Section B, Unit 6 question. And this is a question come in 2070 as a 60 marker question. Need to write 600 plus word in this question, and the question is, delegated legislation is a necessary evil. This is the question. Delegated legislation is a necessary evil. Okay, so in this answer you need to write first what is delegation. Okay, what is delegation? This is from administrative thought. What is delegation? You need to write theorist idea on delegation, classical theorist. It is for introduction, as it is a 600 word question. You need to interpret some theorist idea in it. So what is delegation? Theorist idea on delegation. So classical theorist idea, be it Taylor, Fayol, Gulick, Orbick, and Max Weber. After that, there is a theorist who reject delegation. Who? MP Follett. MP Follett reject delegation. What she said? She said authority belongs to the job and stay with it. It cannot be delegated. Can't be delegated. So she reject the concept of delegation of authority. And you need to write here that what is the classical idea of delegation and what is delegation. In delegation, you can delegate authority and not responsibility. Urbic idea of principle of correspondence, where Urbic say the authority and responsibility must be coterminous and co-equal. Okay, so you just give a brief theorist idea. So interpretation of theorist in other unit will give you more mark. The examiner will certainly impress. After that, you need to write that what is the concept of delegated legislation. What is the necessary of it? Necessary or advantage. What is the advantage of delegated legislation? And the question asks that it is a necessary evil. Necessary means its advantage, and why it is evil. Why it is evil? Okay, so what is delegated legislation? Why it is necessary, or what are the advantage and why it is evil. After that, you end with how to remove the evil nature of delegated legislation. What step you should take so that the evil effect of delegated legislation should be removed, and the concept DL become a very effective and important or necessary instrument in law making. You need to write this, and you give example of delegated legislation. Delegated legislation. Second, here's this idea on it. So this is the multidimensional answer to your question. So we will discuss. Okay, before that, If you haven't downloaded Unacademy Learner app, so you must download it, as Unacademy promote democratization of education. And if you take a plus subscription, you can have 30 hours of live sessions every day by top educator. And one subscription cover all this exam: OS, ASO, CT, B.Ed, CPSC, OMC. And myself, Deepak Kumar Swain, I have more than 5 years experience in teaching public administration. I have appeared in UPSC, CSC mains and OCS interview. And this is the book I have written. And this is for Odisha Civil Service main examination. This book contains everything, both paper 1, paper 2, unit-wise previous year OPSC question, model answer, important report of second ARC, and also useful for UPSC CSC. So you can find 2019 mains, the answer of every question you can find in this book. So just have a look. If you start reading public administration, you must remember the syllabus and understand the interrelation between different units. Some unit of paper 1 and paper 2 must read together. Analyze previous year question and make structural note. So these are some unit, that means interpretation of paper 1 with paper 2, structure of public organization interpreted in central and state administration, accountability and control interpreted in control of public expenditure, major issue, public policy related to planning, personal administration related to public service, financial administration related to control over public expenditure. So complete reading of paper 1 will cover your 40% of paper 2. That means paper 1 complete 40% of your paper 2. Okay, so these are some area of, I'll just tell you one. Line and staff is nothing but secretariat and directorate. Staff is secretariat, line is directorate. So accountability and control interpreted in control over public expenditure, and also major issue in Indian administration. Public policy planning, personal administration, public service, recruitment training promotion, recruitment training promotion, financial administration, control over public expenditure. This is audit by CAG, formulation budget by Minister of Finance. Course plan is, yes, I have started a new course. The part 2 is started from 4 January, where we discuss both paper 1 and paper 2. We discuss all previous year mains question, answer writing and current information. To get idea about current information, you can join this Telegram page, Public Administration by Deepak Kumar Swain, or FB page, Public Administration for UPSC and OPSC. This is the subscription fees, and this is my code. Use this code, you can have a 10% discount. This is Anushilon test series. This is a new DL batch. This is Samiksha coach. Okay, this is okay. So we discuss our question. DL is a necessary evil. DL is a necessary evil. So delegation, what is delegation? When authority is given to some other by the authority holder, it is delegation. Delegation may be top down, delegation may be upward, delegation may be sideward. This is delegation. And in delegation, only authority will be delegated and not responsibility. The responsibility always lies with the authority holder who delegate. Okay, so only authority is delegated, not responsibility. Authority lies with the responsibility lies with the authority holder. And if at all responsibility is delegate, it is operating responsibility and not final responsibility. Only operating responsibility can be delegated and not final responsibility. Final responsibility is with the authority holder. Clear? After that, you write that classical theorists, Taylor, Fayol, Gulick, Orbick, Max Weber, everyone supported the concept of delegation of authority, but Orbic given a concept that is known as principle of correspondence. Principle of correspondence. He said authority must equal to responsibility. It is not like that authority more than responsibility or responsibility more than authority. No, he rejected this. He called principle of correspondence. Authority must equal to responsibility. He said authority without responsibility is disastrous and responsibility without authority is meaningless. You should write this type of quotation. Okay. After that, you can write that. After that, you write MP Follett. MP Follett reject the concept of delegation of authority. She said authority belongs to the job and stay with it. It cannot be delegated. It cannot be delegated. Authority belongs to the job and stay with it. So this MP Follett idea, after that you write what is the concept delegated legislation. Delegated legislation is two words. One is delegated, one is legislation. Legislation is, understand, law making authority. Legislation is nothing but law making authority. Law making authority lies with whom? Parliament or state legislative assembly. Clear? When this law making authority, parliament or state legislative assembly delegate to whom? Delegate to executive or administration. Executive or administration. It is known as what? It is known as the concept of delegated legislation. So everyone remember it. When parliament or state legislative assembly delegate its law-making authority to executive, it is known as delegated legislation. Very laymanist way. Understand this. The law-making authority lies with the legislation, parliament or executive, and when they delegate it to whom? They cannot delegate. There are three organs of government: legislature, executive, judiciary. So they cannot delegate it to judiciary. So they delegate it to executive. So it is known as the concept of delegated legislation, or it also known as executive law making. It is known as executive law making, or it is also known as subordinate legislation. So subordinate legislation, why it is known as subordinate legislation? Because the executive is subordinate from parliament in terms of law making. So when executive or administration make law, it is known as subordinate legislation. Clear? This is subordinate legislation or executive law making. So this is all about delegated legislation. The definition, what is delegated legislation? So now we discuss necessary of delegated legislation. Why DL is necessary? Okay, the first necessity is welfare state. A welfare state need urgent law, speedy law, frequent law to address or solve the problem of society. So we need delegated legislation. Second, administration are expert than parliamentarian. Administration are expert than parliamentarian. Administration work in the field. Administration touch with the local people, so they knew the need, the necessary of local people more than the parliamentarian. So when administration come out with a law, it is effective, or it can solve the people's problem better than a law made by parliamentarian. After that, the third is parliamentarian are novice or less expert. The fourth is shortage of time by parliament or state legislative assembly. You all knew that parliament sit for a limited period of time, that is monsoon session, budget session, winter session, and most of the time is passed through pandemonium. That means there is very conflict between the treasury and opposition, so most of the time is waste. So parliament has shortage of time. So this, due to this shortage of time, the parliament can come out with very less law, or the number of law come out by parliament is less, but we need more law. So this problem is addressed due to delegated legislation. The next is a law made by parliament can repeal by parliament only, which is a very cumbersome process. A law made by parliament can be repealed by only parliament. This is only a cumbersome process. 6. Administration new ground reality. Okay, administration new ground reality. So they come out with a best law. So this is the necessary of delegated legislation. You can explain them for a long question. Okay, now why this is evil? Why DL is evil? Okay, so the example of DL is Ordinance 123-213. This is two important example of ordinance. Example of DL, that is Ordinance 123-213. So why DL is evil? The first is administration. The main role of administration is implement law, but under DL administration is making law. So administration is making law, simultaneously implement law. So administration make law that favor him or favor it. It leads to the problem of institutionalization, what you have discussed in Max Weber. Institutionalization of bureaucracy. It leads to new despotism. It results into new despotism. It results into authoritarian bureaucracy. The concept rule of law is violated. Okay, the concept principle of correspondence is also violated because parliament has the ultimate responsibility in making law. Okay, so rule of law violated. The concept division of power between legislature, executive, judiciary also violated, because executive make law and also implement law. The next problem is the servant or administration, they turn master. It was criticized by a committee in UK known as Donong Moore Committee. it result into monopoly of administration. It result into rigidity, secrecy, nepotism. This is the problem we face due to the concept delegated legislation. After that, you write there are different type of delegated legislation. Normal, exceptional, two type of delegated legislation. After that, you write that we have discussed the safeguard against delegated legislation. One is parliamentary safeguard. Parliamentary safeguard. Second is procedural. So very simple. Parliament question, debate, discussion. There is a committee on parliament. I think you have read in Indian polity. That is Committee on Subordinate Legislation, and you have read about this committee in accountability and control also, that there is a committee on subordinate legislation. Okay, Dipti Ranjan Sahu, if you want plus course, you take a subscription, use this code iDeepak10 and you can take a subscription. Or whenever you take a subscription, use this code iDeepak10. Okay, so the class is going on. Today we will discuss about basic concept previous year question. So you can try to attend today's class at 8. Okay, Dipti Ranjan, you can attend today's class. We discuss previous year question of basic concept. But use this code iDeepak10. So parliamentary control, committee on subordinate legislation. This committee study the aspect of delegated legislation and find out if there is any flaw. After that, there is another parliamentary procedure. There is laying. There are 5 types of laying where the executive lay its report before parliament. And in procedural, there is drafting, antenatal, postnatal, and constructive. So these are some procedural safeguard. So you write that with this safeguard, we can reduce the evil effect of what? The evil effect of the concept delegated legislation. And you write that second ARC, that is support delegated legislation with some safeguard. Okay, so this is all about delegated legislation. Okay, Diptaranjan Sahu, so I think your doubt regarding this clear, and you can take a plus subscription and you attend regular class. Yes, we have it is a 4-month long course, 90 class of 1.5 hour. So nearly 150 hour we will study, more than 150 hour. So it is nearly same as any offline, another online class. Okay, so this is for today. We meet on Wednesday with another question. Okay, everyone, thank you.